Hello, I'm Mrs. Lipe, and I'm going to read chapter 21, Still. My heart sinks. I haven't yet reached the place where the trails turn off to Bear Seat. I can't leave this phone turned on, draining what little charge is left. I quickly press the off button on the phone. That series of musical notes accompanies the appearance of the word goodbye in the center of those concentric circles before the screen goes blank. This time it crosses my mind that here in the quiet of the woods, the sound of that cell phone melody is awfully loud. It's so unlike any natural sound that it would immediately call attention to itself, and it could be heard from a long way away. As I'm thinking that, I hear a noise coming from above me. It's not another cell phone. It's the thumping sound of heavy feet on the bedrock of the trail. Someone or something large is coming down the trail in my direction. It's coming fast, drawn by the sound of the cell phone. I can't see yet who or what is making that sound. The narrow hiking trail dips and rises, moving back and forth between the trees and boulders. That means, though, that I haven't been seen yet. I shove the phone back into my pocket and move off the trail as quickly and quietly as I can, keeping low. I see a big dead pine that has fallen and is angled down the slope. I quickly decide to crawl over it and then slide beneath, burying myself in the deep pine needles, twigs, and leaf litter to lay flat. I think I'm hidden from sight. I just hope I haven't made too much noise digging down into the dry debris that gravity and the mountain winds have gathered up against this log. I realize that there's a very small open space in front of my face, under the fallen rock. I may be able to look through it and see the part of the trail where I was sitting before. I just have to press myself down a little. Pine needles and broken pieces of pine cone stick to the wound on my cheek that was made by the gun barrel and reopened during my encounter with the bears. My bitten shoulder aches as I flatten even more against the ground. It's so painful to do this, but it's worth it. Just as I'd hoped, through one eye, I can see the trail through the screen of fallen debris. But what I see almost makes me gasp in dismay. There, crouched on the trail, on all fours, looking more like an animal than a human being, is Jason Jones. He sees something on the ground that makes his mouth widen into a grin, showing his sharp teeth. He reaches down with one hand and picks up a yellow beech leaf. I'm close enough to see the yellow of that leaf is blotched with red. Oh no, the red on that leaf is blood from the cut on my cheek. He holds the leaf up to his mouth and licks it with his tongue. Then he turns in my direction with a quickness that is so uncanny, so threatening that I close my eyes. I don't want to see him, but I still hear that he growls in a low voice that is so calm and so cold that I shiver involuntarily. I've tasted you, he says. You can't escape me. I don't move. He hasn't seen me. Stillness is my salvation. He's using his voice the way an owl calls at night, hoping to spook some small hidden prey animal into panicked flight. I'm small too, buried deep into the leaves and brush under this log. But I don't run like some foolish deer. Mouse, I keep still, so still. There's a thump against the log. I open up my eye to just a crack to see his legs through the screen of the brush. He's right next to the log now, leaning over it. I can hear his heavy breathing above me. My heart is thumping so hard in my chest that I'm afraid he'll hear it. But I don't move. I can't be seen, I think. I can't be seen. The log rocks as he presses down on it and then moves back. His legs vanish from sight. You're not far from here, he says. But I can hear that he's farther away when he says it. I'm going to get you. No, you're not, I think. His voice is moving down slope, down the trail where there are more drops of blood that mark where I've been. He's no longer following me. He's backtracking. He may think he's a bear, but he's not as quiet as one. His feet are breaking twigs and dislodging small stones that rattle down the slopes below. I wait until I can no longer hear his voice or any sounds of his passage. I slide out from beneath the log and rise up slowly, a finger's width at a time, into a crouch. I'm alone again. I can feel it as much as I can see it. He may turn and come back, but I have a little time, maybe enough to get to Bear Seat. I make very little noise as I get back into the trail and start the climb. I'm extra careful not to dislodge any loose rocks that might roll down. It's easier to be quiet now because as I rise in elevation, the trees get smaller and there's less brush and the trail is worn down to smooth stone. I pause when I get to the top of the trail where it widens into an expansive ledge. I lean against a big boulder. My legs feel shaky and my calves are cramping up. I'm breathing hard and my stomach hurts. I press my hand against it and it's making a growling sound. All of a sudden, I realize how hungry I am. It's been 12 hours since I've eaten anything, and I've expended so much energy. I can't stop now, though. There's two trail markers at the cedar tree ahead of me. One is silver, the other red. I remember the conversation around the table before Mr. Mack picked up the shotgun. The red marker indicates the start of the short trail to Bear Seat. I look back down the mountain along the way I came. A blue jay is sitting in a tree 50 yards below me. A red squirrel is digging at the base of a pine farther down. It's reassuring to see them. They wouldn't be so calm if something was approaching from below them. A soft wind blows across my face. The sun that is now a hand's width above the horizon shines through a gap in the clouds. It's beautiful at this moment, and I draw in a slow, grateful breath for these few seconds of peace. I wish I could just sit down, lean against this tree, close my eyes, and sleep. But I can't stop. I have to keep going. I take a few steps onto the trail to the Bear Seat. Suddenly, a figure rises up and looms above me. A bloody hand grasps my arm.